Welcome back to Untangle Your Roots. If you're in need of a professional genealogist, please contact me at untangleyourroots@gmail.com. The email will be in the description below. This episode, we are focusing on how to search for death records and the information that is obtained from them. So to begin with, we will start with James Wilburn Welker. And as you can see, I have him on his family search page, and it states that he died in Bloomington, Bear Lake, Idaho. So I honestly just typed in Idaho death records, and I was able to find one of the databases in Ancestry.com. But you can also go to Family Search Wiki to see the different web sites that are linked on the Idaho death records. And you can also go to the Family Search Catalog to see what records and databases are available to find the death records. So to begin with, I will start with James. He was born in 1825, and he passed away in 1912. So this looks like a pretty well match, so we're going to view the record. We're actually going to view the actual record, not just the index. And let me zoom out. Okay. So right here it has the place of death. Bear Lake's the county, the city of Bloomington. His forename is James Wilburn Welker. He was a male. His race was white. He was a widow. Now keep that in mind. Him stating as a widow. So we know from the previous records that we have checked, the censuses, that he has had 2 wives. As I have mentioned in the previous videos, he was a polygamist. So this is good to know that he was widowed, because we know that his second wife is deceased. This also gives the date of birth, but they wrote the information wrong. So that's actually not his birth date, it's his death date, as you can see. Normally on death certificates it will give the date of birth. As you can see, this one's incorrect. It's the date of death, so the informant misread. But it gave his age, so you can subtract the year that he passed away in from his age, and you can get his birth year. Also states his occupation. So even though he was 87 years old, if I remember right, the 19th census said that he didn't have an occupation, but the other censuses stated that he was a blacksmith and a farmer throughout them. It also states where he was born, Ohio. So we have been able to know that from the censuses. We weren't able to find a birth record for him, but we can use this as direct evidence for him. It also has his father's name and his father's birthplace. Now, if you recall, and if you have not watched the census video, I highly recommend going back and watching the census record video, because it states that his father had 2 different places of birth. So this right here helps establish which state he was born. And then also, nice thing about this death record, it gives his mother's maiden name. So if you have not been able to find your ancestor's mother's maiden name, but you found the death certificate, check to see if it has the maiden name, and then go from there. And it also states where she was born as well, North Carolina. Once again, there was some conflict between the censuses. So if you see the informant, it is Roy A. Welker, which was one of his sons. I believe it was from his second family. And then the date it was filed. But that's not all that's on this death certificate. It has obviously the death date, and then it has the cause of death. So old age. He was 87 years old. So yeah, definitely old age. As you can see, it says no attending physician. And then it has where he's buried. So after we'll do death records, we'll do cemetery records, which will also help us establish it. So I know that he was buried in Bloomington on May 5th. And so what I'm going to do with this information is I'm going to put it in my research log. So it's a death record. So Ancestry.com is the repository. And I did James Welker, 1825 and 1912. And then the citation for it. And if you missed the video about this research log and citations, it is the previous video to this one. So I'm going to put Idaho death records 1890 to 1967. Ancestry.com, and I'll double check my citation too. Database and images. Access. Oh. January 2019. Entry 4. James Milburn Welker. Oh wait. So you want to put exactly what is on the death certificate, and it was 1825 to 1912. But actually, since it doesn't have the birth year, we're just going with the death year. And then the file number that I'm putting is right here, 2156. And then Bloomington, Bear Lake, Idaho. And then I'll put down a death certificate for James Welker. As I said, I will double check my citation. And then I'll show you next video if it was correct or incorrect. So that's my research log on that. And then I'm also going to save this. Okay, so our next individual is his wife, Anna Pugh. And she also passed away in Idaho. So the great thing about this database, it's 1890, and she died in 1893. Okay. So I'm not getting any results, which is okay. So I'm gonna just write that in my research log that it was nil. And I'm going to write what I searched. That way, I know I searched it, and I do not have to come back and check. There were nil result for Anne. There were no other Annas listed. The reason why I'm giving more information than just a nil result, I've seen there's no other ones listed, so I know that there's no other ones listed. Like, it just wasn't her. And so, then the next individual is Alfred. And he died in Arizona. So I'm going to type in Arizona death records. So I'm actually going to go to the wiki to see. Go to the Welker and Alfred. I want 296 and submit. So there is let's go back to 1896. So he's not on this one, so there's only one found. Let's see if we can use family search to possibly find him. So it has his child. So this one right here is his child. Not him. See, if you look at it, it's his son's. See, right here. So we'll also do a nil result. And I will fill it in later, but I am going to put nil result for Alfred. Like I said, it's okay if we have no results. It's part of the research process, and so do not give up. Just keep pushing along. Is Hetty, and she actually married Dunn. So Hetty Dunn is what we're going to search for. I'm not going to do a death year because it should just bring her up. Okay, we'll do a death year in 1900. No. So I'm just scrolling to see if I can possibly find her. And I am not seeing it. So I'm just looking at her different sources. She's there for her children. But not for herself. It's alright, we'll put nil result as well. So, and I'll go back and do that. So we're going to go to Arlena, and I believe her maiden name is Palmer. Married name. Died in 1907. So this one I will have to get creative. I'll have to go back to my census survey to see the different spellings of her name, to see if we can find her. So we'll actually do Gilbert next. Okay. So, let me show you one more of these death certificates. Let me zoom out a little bit. Okay. So it has the county of Canyon and the Napa and then Gilbert. As you notice, this is 1938, it states his residence. So if you're looking for church records, you can use the residence to see, especially if you're looking at LDS records, to see what ward he was in. And it states that he was a widow, but it also lists who his wife was. So if you've not been able to find anything besides the census stating who his wife is, you can use this as evidence to back up your censuses. And it also has his birthday, so August 24th, 1855. Has the year he died, not the year he died, his age he died, his profession. It also states that he actually owned his own farm. Like, he didn't work for anyone else. Has where he was born, so in Utah. Has his father's name and the state of place he was born, which is Pennsylvania. And same with his mother, and it has the maiden name and her state, Missouri. The informant is a Welker, so it could be a daughter or a son. They use initials quite a bit, so keep that in mind as you're looking for things. It has the burial, when he was buried, which is April 20th, my bad. But if you notice, it has 1933, so obviously they have the wrong year, because he wouldn't be buried in 1933 because he was still alive, because he died in 1938. So, just keep that in mind when you're searching for a cemetery record. His date of death was April 26th, and it stated that he died at 5:45 a.m. and I'm not sure he passed away of coronary, I'm gonna say. And so I will once again add that to my research log, and I'll do that and I'll show you it next week. So, some tips to take away with death certificates, the birth and the information that's on it. The birth dates are listed, except for the very first one that I showed you. That was a very rare case. Burials are possibly listed. The two I showed you were listed. The mother's name is usually listed. In both cases, they were listed. Death date is listed. Cause of death is listed. The informant is listed. And the last residence, which was in 1938, was that one. Keep in mind, with the informant's name, it could easily be a family member. That's a hint. It can also be a neighbor, or even the doctor. So remember your friends, associates, neighbors, to keep that in mind as you are searching. I hope this video gave you some insight on how to find death records and the information that they contain. Death records can be a gold mine. They can contain quite a bit of information. Check out the other previous videos about how to search the 1850 censuses and on, and the information that is given. Another video is how to search birth records and marriage records. And the most recent video that was posted, besides this coming one, is research log, and the importance of a research log and how to do a citation. Next week we will find grave records, and I will discuss the different sites you can use and the different records that contain grave records to use. If you are in need of professional genealogist help, email me again at untangleroots@gmail.com. You can even just drop a comment if it's just a quick question. My other information will be in the description below. Please leave a like, drop a comment, and subscribe. Also share with your fellow genealogists and other people you feel inclined.